Sarah, welcome to my LinkedIn Live. I'm very happy to have you here today, our resident expert on everything LinkedIn for lawyers. So welcome, Sarah.
Thanks so much, Becky. I'm so happy to be here.
Good. So we're going to have a chat today, those of you who are tuning in, all about where you should be focusing your efforts with your legal content. Should you be focusing it on your website, or should you be focusing on social media? If so, where? The hows, the whys, the whens, and everything. We'll just cover it all today because Sarah is an absolute genius about all of this stuff. So do you want to, I think perhaps it'd be nice to have a little intro, Sarah. Do you want to tell the audience all about yourself and what you do and how you help law firms and legal professionals?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Sarah. I'm an ex-lawyer. So in a non-so-previous life, I used to be head of legal. So social media was very remote from my day-to-day. I was more busy redlining contracts and building a legal function from scratch. But what has happened is that I built my visibility online as an in-house counsel first. And that's pretty much where I developed my visibility on LinkedIn. And long story short, being on LinkedIn especially allowed me to build a visibility, build an audience, which then allowed me to land a job in legal technology. So I had an exclusive role made for me on the back of my social media presence. And it allowed me to also start a side hustle. So that's how I got started into entrepreneurship. And fast forward 2023, what used to be a half side hustle has been a hustle. So now I run a Law But How, and I'm really passionate about helping legal professionals turn likes into leads with visual design and power content. So that's the value proposition. And 20 plus clients later, here we are.
Yeah, that is so cool. I mean, how powerful is that you ended up with a role that was designed for you just off the back of your social media activity? That's wild, isn't it? But it just goes to show what you can do when you put the right messaging out there, for sure. So let's just talk about ROI, or return on investment, for digital content. Like, what does that actually look like on social media? Can you maybe tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I always say is that you have to escape the like race. So escaping the like race pretty much means stop focusing on likes and of your content, and really focus on what is it that you want to achieve on the back of social media. And do you have any potential signs of this working? Do you have any potential signs of you getting closer to your goals by putting yourself out there? So return on investment isn't about the more likes I get, the better I become, or it's more about, okay, what is my objective? Do I want to become a go-to in a particular industry or practice area? Do I want to generate leads? And if so, what are the signs telling me that it is working? So if you want to generate leads, are you generating leads on the back of your content? If you want to become a go-to for your particular practice area, are you receiving invitation to podcast? Are you receiving speaking opportunities in relation to your niche? So these are the typical proof that whatever you are currently doing on social media is working, rather than impressions or likes, because none of that pay the bills.
Absolutely. I mean, we all love getting likes, don't we? We get that nice dopamine hit that our content's resonating with somebody. But in terms of actually generating new business or putting yourself out there, that does not equal cash in the bank by any manner of means. So yeah, and would you say also it's about talking to the right people as well, though? Because if you've got all those impressions, it's all well and good, but if they're not the people that are gonna be your clients, then there's no point, is there?
Yeah, absolutely. Seth Godin talks about the minimum viable audience, and I think that's pretty much what you have to aim for. You don't need tens of thousands of followers on LinkedIn to have clients. The people I work with, they barely have 1,000, 2,000 connections when they start, and they start generating leads in a few weeks because their content is focused. Their content really speak to their target audience.
Yeah.
So whatever they do isn't designed for virality. If you are going viral, you are speaking to too many people, and therefore you're speaking to no one. So you definitely have to figure out who is it that you're trying to attract, and what is it that you need to say and put out there to get them in. And you are better off having 10 of those very, very qualified people than 100 of random people that will never buy from you anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it? And we'll talk about that in a bit, but your training and your courses help legal professionals with exactly how to position the messaging and how to write the content and everything. So that's great that covers that all. So let's talk about the platforms, different platforms that people should potentially be using for their content. What's your take on the platforms and which platform for what?
So which platform for what? You have to answer the basic question, that is, where do the people you want to attract hang out? In other words, if you are selling legal services to grandmas, chances are that they're on Facebook with watching their children's or grandchildren's pictures, right? If you are targeting CEOs, general counsels, so more people in the B2B space, chances are that LinkedIn will be a better platform for it. If you are providing trademark services to designers, creatives, maybe Instagram could be another avenue to pursue for your social media content to go. So it's really, again, going back to this minimum viable audience. Where do they spend the time socially? And this is how, and this is what is going to dictate which platform should you be focusing on.
Yes, because I think a lot of content creators, they think, oh right, okay, well I just need to be everywhere all at once, which is again, trying to speak to everybody but speaking to nobody. I mean, I would definitely say, for me personally, I can only really manage LinkedIn. I mean, that's where all my effort goes because I know that's where my clients are. And yeah, I have a little dabble in Instagram if I want to put a story on if something funny's happened that day. But that's it. Like, I couldn't possibly cope with any more channels. Is that what you recommend that legal professionals should do? Find one and stick to it, basically?
Absolutely. One platform, one acquisition channel. Don't try to be everywhere, especially if you don't have the bandwidth, the resources to manage it. Because even doing a really good job in one platform is really, really time consuming already. So if you just spread yourself thin, you will just end up doing a very average job everywhere, rather than doing an exceptional job in one platform and getting the benefits of it. And that's going back to your point on Instagram. I am also on Instagram, but it was very obvious to me that my client base were not buying from me on Instagram. So some of them might follow me on Instagram, but that's more for the story side of running a business, following me on my journey to events and conferences and seeing a more personal side of me. But when it comes to lead generation, that's definitely where LinkedIn is definitely where the dollars are.
Definitely. And then when you can have one platform to focus on, then that means that you're more likely to be consistent on that platform too. And it doesn't mean that you're just going to drop off after a few weeks because you literally can't maintain that level anymore. And that's what social media is all about, isn't it? Being consistent too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Consistency is probably what tricks people into doing the wrong thing. And what I mean by that is, often people can be very short-sighted when it comes to social media. So they tend to start posting for a few weeks, or start doing 3-4 posts and no one is liking or commenting. And then what happens? They just give up. And it's really missing out on the fact that social media is a long-term game, and it's about being not just consistent, but also being putting a certain amount of volume. Because if you post consistently once a month, nothing will happen on the back of it. You have to show up every single week, reinforce your message, and pretty much repeat yourself. And you have to do that for a very long period of time to really get the benefits.
Yes, yeah. I'm just thinking about website content then, from my point of view, because I write blogs for legal professionals and also update website content as well. So it translates across to that channel as well, because fresh blogs, they tell your audience that you're on top of things, that you're actually making sure that you're taking the time to write valuable and relevant content for your clients that they're going to be interested in. And it also tells Google as well that you're updating it constantly too, which is a really good ranking signal. So having a monthly delivery of blog contents will actually really, really help with ranking too. And I had this conversation with a client the other day, and there was, I think there was like a COVID notice or something on their website. And it was like, you need to take that off like immediately. Like, that is not relevant anymore. And I wasn't even the target audience, but for me, that was just like, it just showed like a lack of kind of interest in the kind of position they were putting themselves in, and their digital persona, I guess. So it really puts me off when I see out of date stuff on websites.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the same would apply to social media. I mean, if I was to post COVID related stuff, that wouldn't necessarily land at all. But on the flip side of that, seasonal content can really demonstrate that you are on top of things. So, and we have Jono in the audience who talked about my Halloween recent post. And the reason why it worked so well is because Halloween was not so long ago. But if I had posted a Halloween post in July, that would have just seemed a bit off.
That Halloween carousel, Sarah, was literally like one of my top pieces of content this year. I absolutely loved it. It was really funny. Did it take you a long time to do?
A carousel pretty much takes me an hour on average.
Yeah. They are worth the effort, though. I actually really enjoy creating carousels, and I think you do get a lot more engagement from them for sure.
They tend to be the high conversion pieces of content. It's much easier to convert on the back of a carousel than it would be on the back of a text post or on the back of a single post or a video. Carousels definitely do the job best, but obviously, if you end up just doing carousel, you will be spending a lot of time just creating the content, which is not what you should be doing.
Yeah. So then that's something as well that you talk about in your training, don't you, about how to create carousels and what the best type of content is for each situation too. So I'm assuming you have all the resources and everything that your clients can use for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good content is about really, it's a two-dimensional topic. You first have to figure out what is going to be the medium. Is it going to be a text post or a carousel or a single post, an infographic? And number two, what is the purpose? Are you educating your audience? Are you entertaining them? Do you want to generate a lead on the back of your content? And depending on that angle, the type of content that you produce is going to be very different. If I want to generate a lead, I'm going to share a case study in the form of a carousel. If I want to entertain or post something a bit more casual for my audience, I might do a carousel as well, but the call to action isn't going to be DM me to work with me, but it's going to be a Halloween post about how not to get ghosted on LinkedIn, for example. So you really have to understand that each type of content achieves a different purpose, and you have to the success is in mixing all of them and having the right balance between lead generation, authority building, and audience growth.
Yeah, I mean, nothing helps with trust and lead gen than case studies, and people love all that if they can see something that's really worked for somebody that's in their industry, and there's no reason why it shouldn't work for them as well. It's a game changer, isn't it?
Absolutely. People, the purpose of a case study is for people to recognize themselves. So if they see another legal consultant who's been through my program, for example, and who's managed to do X, Y, and Z, the instant reaction might be like, oh, if it worked for them, why not me?
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about why people might win or fail on LinkedIn. Ooh, talking about case studies. Is there anything specific that comes to mind that you can think of? about successful campaigns that you've seen on platforms.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Success can be predictable, and failure can be predictable as well. So maybe we could start with the successes, and then we can finish with what not to do. So the people, it tends to be the reverse, interestingly enough, which goes to shows that there is a process to success and failure. So the people that tend to be successful on LinkedIn, they first of all, they are selfless. They give before getting, and that's something that we see a lot of legal professionals struggling with, because they treat what they know as being the gold. And if they start giving away too much information for free, then they fear that people will stop reaching out to them. And in fact, the opposite happens. People will reach out to you because you've established yourself as a go-to for that particular topic. So the more you give away, the more you establish your knowledge and you make it known, and people start trusting you more. And the day they have a problem that relates to what you have to offer, you will become top of mind because of all of that goodwill you've been putting out. So the most successful people I know give before they get anything back. Number two, they are in the social media game for the long term. So that goes back to the consistency point. You can't just post for a few weeks and expect anything on the back of it. You have to be at it every single week for a month, and your ability to land your first inquiry depends on your niche. It depends on how mature your market is. It depends on whether the people you target are on LinkedIn or not. So there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, and you have to be patient enough to acknowledge that. So being consistent, being patient, having a long-term game really matters. Number three, the most successful people really understand that no one is coming to save them. So if you are not putting yourself out there, and if you are not consistently marketing yourself and demonstrating value and really sharing in abundance, no one is going to do that for you. And in fact, you might even be left behind because you might not do it, but your competitors will. So as each day passes, you are missing out on the opportunity to reach 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people in every single post. So selfless, giving away for free in abundance for a sustainable amount of time, patient, and also letting go of perfectionism, having an iterative approach, because you never know until you put yourself out there what is going to work and what is not going to work or resonate. That's an iterative process, and that's okay. And you have to allow yourself to suck for a very long period of time. And unfortunately, I think with lawyers especially, perfectionists. The perfectionism mindset really gets in the way. They fear of posting because they fear that it's not going to land, that people aren't going to like it, or it's not going to be accurate, or they won't get any results from it. And as a result, they don't dare. They never try. They never try putting anything out, and that is obviously holding them back. So that's number four. Final point is the people that are successful tend to also not be entitled. They know that it takes work, consistency, patience. They understand that, and they are in for the game, no matter how long it takes. So these are the common traits they have.
That's amazing. Thank you. That was a great insight. I especially love, I think my favorite is no one's coming to save you.
Yeah.
You've got to do it yourself, and you've got to be, I mean, like, it's the classic for a reason, isn't it? Like, you've got to be in it to win it, but you've got to just put yourself out there, because if you don't, nobody's going to know that you exist even. So yeah. You just got to do it and get on with it. Put your big girl or big boy pants on, shall we say?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think by complete opposition, the people that fail, they tend to be very short-sighted. They tend to only be on social media for the leads and the potential of getting clients, but they don't have what it takes. They tend to give up after a few weeks because they get frustrated that nothing has happened after 3 posts that were really rubbish as well, because they withhold half of the information that would have been valuable. So the opposite is is also true. Like, if you don't do any of those things, and if you do the opposite, you are going to fail. And there is nothing you can do about it beyond shifting your mindset and understand that it is a very different exercise from being a lawyer.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem that that a lot of lawyers face, because it is just so alien to them. It's completely against what they've been taught. You know, sharing personal information, making yourself vulnerable. It's not particularly comfortable for any of us when we first start doing it, but for the legal profession, it's a harder thing to overcome for sure.
Yeah.
What about being on LinkedIn then, and how to maximize your return on investment? Are there any strategies that you would recommend that people use?
Definitely. I think it's a couple of things. Number one is profile. You have to optimize your profile to make it very clear who you are, what you do, who you help, and how you help them. So the typical, again, using lawyers as an example, the typical lawyer profile is David Smith, solicitor at Adam Smith LLP. It doesn't tell me who you help. It doesn't tell me how you help them. It doesn't tell me the problem you solve. Solicitor in what? IP, M&A. I mean, there are so many lawyers in different practice areas and serving different types of audiences. And by just putting solicitor at Adam Smith LLP or whatever, you're not really telling your audience anything that they might want to know before reaching out to you. So first, you really have to optimize your profile. That means leveraging your LinkedIn banner, the background banner, and really use that as a digital billboard, really fixing your headline and make it clear who you help, the problem you solve, any social proof that you might have. Let's say you are in dispute resolution and you've saved people money on settlements, put the number in. How much money did you save your clients? You know, that instantly builds an element of credibility. Anything else that could potentially help your profile with any recommendation and any past project that you've worked on, any case studies. So if I go on your profile and none of that is there, you've already failed in really making the most out of LinkedIn. So profile is number one. Number two is obviously content. So if someone goes on your profile might be good, but again, if you're not active by putting posts out there, people instantly get the feeling that you're not necessarily active. Whereas if they see that three days ago you've posted a testimonial or you've posted a case study on how you've helped someone do X, Y, and Z, that instantly make your profile a lot more relevant and timely. And of course, people tend to also scroll at your recent posts. So the more, again, valuable you can be and the more you position yourself as a go-to for that particular problem that you can solve. So you have to be active, as in putting content out there. Number three, being active beyond content. That means commenting on other people's posts, your ideal clients, your competitors as well, because chances are that you share the same audience. So by just going out there and commenting, you make yourself known and you're leveraging other people's content for it. So go out there, comment, and comment with obviously strategy. Don't just say great post, but add some insights and challenge even the author when it's obviously relevant. It's not about stealing the spotlight, but it's more about adding a new perspective. So really be active on comments as well. And the last point would be the two last points actually. Events, organize events, LinkedIn audio, LinkedIn lives. So you allow people to connect with you on a more emotional level. They can start seeing you talking in real life and have an understanding of who you are. And then outreach, reaching out to people, making new connections, sending personalized invites. All of those things, when done consistently every day, really compound, because you might connect with someone today and nothing might happen on the back of it, but 6 months down the line, they've seen more and more of your content showing up. They've seen you commenting in other people's posts, so they might end up reaching out.
Yeah, and all of those actions, they just, like you said, they compound in the background and they build a picture of your digital persona. So that's what's all those little things are just adding up into who you are and how you can help, and that's so important, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love
Usually
that. Yeah. So we've not got very long left for this live, actually. I've been chatting for ages. So I was just going to have a chat with you whether there's anything you can think of, anything you can predict, get your crystal ball out now, Sarah, on how people are going to consume content in the future. What do you think? What's your predictions there?
I think it's pretty obvious to me that first, there are more and more creators on LinkedIn. I started my LinkedIn game in 2018, and I was probably the first lawyer, or one of the first on the platform. There was really no one else that was really active. So, and now, I can't even count all the legal creators that have emerged since 2018. So there is definitely a rise of creator, and that will continue to grow. And I suspect as time passes on, we will have more and more people occupying micro niches. So we will have a go-to for trademark in the UK and a go-to for trademark in Australia. And so more and more people are going to start putting themselves as the key people of influence for a particular practice area as the platform becomes busier and more crowded, which ultimately means that as more and more content comes through, the algorithm and the ability for your content to be seen by others is going to drop. That's what happens when platforms get saturated. So your content gets seen by less and less people. There is less reach. Now, LinkedIn is still extremely fertile in terms of reach. You can pretty much expect to reach a minimum of a few thousand views, even as a new starter. And I think LinkedIn really helps small creators. So those that have less than 10K followers, they usually have a greater reach to support them. But I suspect as time passes on, obviously the organic reach is going to decrease in favor of ads. So I suspect that we are going to see more and more paid content on LinkedIn to increase reach. And probably the need to also stand out in different ways as AI comes in. And I've seen really awful content being clearly ChatGPT issued. And I think this is really important for anyone who wants to stand out, to really understand how to make the most out of AI, but whilst really mastering the art of stand out on LinkedIn with really powerful content. And that is something that AI isn't going to help you with. It can help you with a structure, it can help you save time, but ultimately, creating good content, standing out from the masses is an art. It is a skill that you have to learn.
I wonder if you were just thinking what I was thinking there, Sarah, about ChatGPT, which was came up with an absolutely wonderful bio for you, didn't it? It was like the most ridiculous thing that we've ever seen.
The language used was, I think it was Shakespearean English.
I think it was. I'm just going to shut these blinds because I'm getting a bit blinded over here, literally by the blinds. So we have, there we are, that's better. We have a question from the audience. So Zara asks us, is it worth reaching out to grannies on Facebook?
It depends what you want. If you want nice cookies, then maybe.
Yeah. yes, if you want nice cookies, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if grannies are your target audience, then go for it. I would say, yeah, why not? Give it a whirl. And I think it's you just got to try with these things, haven't you? You've got to be not afraid to try things and see what works for you. And you never know, you might find that you're cornering the market for grannies on Facebook. You know, stranger things have happened. That is for sure.
Yeah.
What about other kind of content on LinkedIn, Sarah? Like obviously you can do newsletters and you can do articles and all sorts of those things. Is that what you recommend your clients do as well, to just kind of increase that visibility and traction on the platform?
So we don't really cover newsletters or articles, and the reason is that I think for these types of contents, they are probably more relevant for SEO purposes, because what tends to happen if you really put the right keywords, you can end up being found. So I think it's a more of a longer term strategy in order to be found for a particular topic. We really more focus on organic content that lives on the platform, but that is designed to be consumed on the spot. So we really focus on text posts, infographics, carousels, single post, and this type of posts that take a lot less time to do, but that give you an incredible reach. I've been trying LinkedIn newsletters, and to be honest, I don't really think it's worth it, purely because you don't own the data.
Yeah.
You don't own the data. The reach isn't all that. I get a lot more views on individual posts than newsletter. So I would say that newsletters aren't necessarily worth it. I think you're better off just building your own list, and have a link in your featured section on LinkedIn to your mailing list. But with articles, I think it could be relevant for SEO purposes.
Yeah, definitely. I find that when I'm researching for clients, they will often come up with articles that are on LinkedIn to read through. So it definitely does work in SEO purposes for sure. And we've got another question in the chat, which is a solicitor who picks up work from X, formerly known as Twitter, but needs to put out video content. Any tips on explainer videos? Have you got any tips about videos at all on social media?
I'm not really a user of videos, so I'm not the best place to answer it. I think videos, in my mind, are great when it comes to putting a face behind a name, so people can again see you, they can hear you, so they can emotionally connect with you on a deeper level on a video than a carousel. That is for sure. And then on videos, I mean, if you were to do an explainer videos, I mean, that would be more if you are in a practice area that requires some sort of tutorial on things that you can do yourself. So let's say that you work with entrepreneurs and you have a library of contract templates that they can self-serve on your website. You could do an explainer video saying, hey, these are the templates I have on my website. This is how you can use one of them, and this is the type of use cases each contract is for, whatever. So in that sense, that could be valuable. But I'm not a heavy video user personally. But I think they definitely belong to emotionally connect, or to provide educational content in a much more practical way.
Yeah, that reminds me, actually, thank you. I need to do some video content this afternoon because I'm all over it at the moment. But I'm not an expert by any manner of means, but I would definitely say try and keep it simple and short, preferably as well, because people's attention spans are just ridiculously short nowadays. I know Zara's actually in the conveyancing field, so that could potentially work in terms of talking through some different infographics or things I know she works from, so that could work for sure. We've had another comment in the chat. Charlie has said videos can work for what I call explode your process explainers. Okay, so pick a very small part of what you do and do a short explainer on that topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's basically what I said, Charlie. Thank you for that. Excellent.
Yeah.
I wasn't an expert, but turned out I did know anyway. So yeah. Pick apart of your process and just go deep in on that particular one. So if there's any more questions, guys, please drop them in the chat. We will be happy to answer them, even potentially not on videos, but we'll give it a whirl, won't we, Sarah? We'll give it a whirl. But we'll just leave that for another minute. If there's anything else to come in, and then we will pop off for some lunch, I expect, because it is nearly lunchtime, isn't it? But it's been super lovely to chat to you today, Sarah, and hopefully you legal professionals out there watching can get yourself out there, whether it is on LinkedIn or Instagram or tracking down those grannies on Facebook, whatever it might well be, you know, get it done for sure. For sure. Are there anything final, Sarah, that you would like to leave our audience with today?
No, I think it was a really informative session. I hope for everyone. Zara is asking, "Are you running your infographic course again?" Well, yes, yes, Zara. It's actually a good. I mean, I didn't intend to talk about that, but yes, I will be releasing an online course. So that's the Visual Kickstarter program, and that's more of a digital course, digital product where you can learn how to create visual content for your LinkedIn profile, which will include the use of infographics. So.
And that's a self-paced guide, right? That's a self-paced kind of course, yeah.
That is absolutely self-paced, yes. So it's for anyone that wants to get going and wants to do that on their own pace and time. So the Kickstarter is coming. Stay tuned for the announcement.
Perfect. And soon, Sarah will have a brand spanking new website to tell you all about packages. So watch this space, that is for sure. Just having a lovely comment to finish off there by Rena, who says, "I highly recommend Sarah. She really knows her stuff." Smiley face. So that's really nice, isn't it? Lovely. Well, thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure as always. And I always love chatting to you, Sarah. So the more of that, the better, please. And we shall catch up soon.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Becky. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Thank you.